Live from New York, it's Ask This Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another Wednesday night Ask an Engineer. It's me, Lady Ada, and I am in the house of Adafruit here in the manufacturing zone. This is where I do my manufacturing and electronicsing. I'm the founder and engineer of Adafruit, and with me is Mr. Lady Ada, who's on camera control.
Yes.
And looking so cute in his little goth outfit. I just love him so much. Okay, we've got an exciting show tonight. We've got all sorts of gothtronics, electronics, news, new products, mailbags. Why don't you tell them what's on tonight's show?
I will. Tonight's code is Relay, 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. We got show and tell, people around the world showing and sharing their projects. Back at the mailbag, we'll stop by. We'll read some reader letters. Reader letters? No, viewer letters.
Well,
they probably read.
The readers will be reading the viewer letters.
Yeah. Jobs board, best place to showcase your skills and get a cool maker job. Time travel, look back in time, makers, hackers, artists, and engineers. 3D printing, Raspberry Pi stuff, new products. We're gonna answer your questions. We have a top secret thing tonight. Ooh, a trivia question, all that and more on Ask an Engineer.
It is Ask an Engineer.
Ooh. Okay.
Is there a song that goes with that animation?
No.
No. Okay.
No, it's just an animation.
I can hear it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
First up, let's pay some bills.
Okay.
Relay is the code, 10% off all the way up to 11:59 p.m. And that's everything except for gift certificates and software, where you can't do discounts on those.
But everything else 10% off. What a deal.
Yeah. Other stuff, we're still doing same day delivery. It's still working out. In New York City, if you order before 11 a.m. Eastern time, there'll be another dialogue if you're in a zip code in the New York area.
Yep. You can get delivered that day. Amazing.
Yeah. And then, of course, right now we have the free deals going on, $200 or more, free UPS ground, continental U.S.
Okay. We'll be bringing some freebies back in a couple weeks,
we have
maybe.
some freebies planned.
But for now, that's all we got.
Yeah. And just a reminder, this is Ask an Engineer. We do this every single Wednesday at 8 p.m. And then we just did Show and Tell, which is 7:30 p.m.
Every single week.
Yeah. And our programming for the week, and every week lately, has been a whole new slew of shows. So we did Desk of Lady Ada. And Desk of Lady Ada had some interesting things. We did some Internet of Things this week.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember. So if you go to youtube.com/Adafruit, you can see some of the past Lady Adas. We did a couple neat ones, and that's why I packed the mailbag. One of them was a Star Trek communicator. You showed with a Fona how to make a Star Trek communicator. That was really neat.
That's known page are 3D printing the communicator. And I was like, I'll make the feather Fona that goes inside. And so the communicator actually is a communicator. Like if you flip it open and press a button, you'd be like, Spock. Spock, but it'll be like ring, ring, and then it'll pick up, and then you can say Spock. And so that's a project. And also, we did some tester design. I've been doing a lot of tester design lately. Yeah, but it's going really well. We're able to get more feathers in stock because I redesigned all the feather testers.
So that was one video we did, and then and this is I'm going to skip around a little bit tonight. This is some Raspberry Pi news. We use a Raspberry Pi to make a tester.
Yeah,
so if you're into manufacturing, we did that video on Sunday night. If you're into manufacturing, you can see how we made our own testers. It was kind of cool. All right, had Tony D's show. And Tony D this week, and again, normally I save the Pi news to the end, but since we have so many shows that we're doing live,
it's cool.
I'm going to skip around. So for Tony,
kids like that fast cut.
Yeah. So he did two that were Raspberry Pi related. Raspberry Pi and Python thing. That was part 2. And then if you want to learn how to build your own Amazon Alexa, Tony starts to go through it.
This thing was like amazing. So it's just, when I looked at the tutorial, so this tutorial, like you scroll and you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. And you're like, wait, I haven't even started getting the authentication tokens. We're going to try a different way to do it because there's another way to maybe authenticate Alexa. But like, oh my goodness, it's quite an ordeal. So if you're interested in making your own Amazon Echo using a Raspberry Pi, and signing up for Amazon authentication and getting it working, it is possible. He did get it working. It's just a challenge. But watch the video.
If you're interested in that, and he also on the show and tell, we'll talk about showed that. So those are just a couple of shows. And the other one was a trellis scene switcher for Wirecast. If you ever do any type of live video stuff, this is one to watch.
Oh yeah, very handy.
Yeah.
It's just funny, everyone's said, oh, it's fill in a box.
Yeah.
Because like, that's what you do. Like you're constantly switching all these things. People wonder like, how do you guys do from things and things go and leave? It's you doing it, but if you're doing your streaming alone, it's much harder to stop what you're doing and maybe go to your, especially if you're not streaming from the same computer.
Yeah. You've replaced me multiple times with Python scripts when we had our shipping stations. I was replaced multiple times, and I'm looking forward to being obsoleted. Next up.
I love it.
Yeah. Next up, pseudo random. We're filming the next one with Colin probably this weekend. We're going to do a special Arduino one, so look for that soon. Okay. Show and tell. Every week we do it. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Time. I don't know if it's standard anymore. Who's on the show?
I just say Eastern Time because that's why it's safe, because I don't remember whether it's daylight now or not daylight time. Okay.
You don't want the time cop to come out, Jean-Claude Van Damme. He goes back in time.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
But is he off by 1 hour? Is that the problem? Like,
no, I think
he's like, oh, I tried to kill Hitler,
no,
but I was off by 1 hour.
No, he's just the time cop, making sure people aren't breaking any time laws.
Does he stops time travelers? I never saw Time Cop.
Time Cop, I believe he does. Yeah, I think they stopped the time travel.
So he's like, you're trying to kill your grandfather and cause the world to explode.
No, remember, there's just a lot of explosions. Time Cop.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
Tony Nicola again showed off this Alexa, and he actually demoed it live, this Raspberry Pi Zero, using USB audio to make an Alexa. Noah and Pedro, they were working on the Pi Girl Zero, and they're using Oshpark for getting PCBs, and Oshpark makes beautiful PCBs, but the PCBs are making it pretty simple, and they really wanted the PCBs faster, so we sent them an other mill, because we stocked the other mill, and they were able to mill out PCBs for the Pi Girl Zero like within an hour, and they did some videos, and we'll maybe show that video in a bit. So they're doing not only 3D printing, but 3D unprinting, 3D milling as well. So we will see some projects from them that use this other mill. Richard A. made an all-new Warhammer. This Warhammer is like amazing. It has an orientation sensor, and it can tell on like how you like swing it. So if you swing it like once, it does a hit, like it goes red and it does a hit. And if you swing it 2 times, it glows yellow and it does like a power-up hit. And if you swing it 3 times, it does like an ultra power-up and then like a super hit, and it like blinks green. And it's pretty cool that he actually got the orientation sensor to sense the motion. You know, it's very difficult usually to do that with a gyro and accelerometer, but the BNO 055 does it all in one. It's a pretty neat sensor. William made a Pi Zero with 2 relays and an MCP 3008 analog digital converter input. So he's really playing around with how to stuff Raspberry Pis into electrical outlets and power them off of 24-volt AC from doorbells to have the Pi actually power off of the grid, but also control devices like garage door openers or like doorbells or like motors and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. Phil B made a transit clock. He's a tutorial that he's working on. It's a clock that will tell you for the next hour what 4 bus lines and when they're coming. So if he lives out, I guess, kind of far out on the public transit network, and so sometimes it takes up to an hour for a bus to show up. So this tells you how many minutes until the next bus, and so you can time it so you're not waiting at the bus stop for a half an hour, which I always used to do that when
Yeah.
Like I would take the bus around.
It's a half an hour. You're just waiting. So
you're just waiting, and then like 3 buses show up.
Yeah.
So now with the NextBus interface, you can actually tell.
Yeah.
I read a very interesting article about NextBus because it was done by. Remember we were reading that article about the transit system.
That was cool.
It was a hack. The system that we have in New York was like a skunkworks project.
Yeah.
Which is neat.
Because it was difficult to do a project because there's so many people involved.
There's some people that actually had this small group of 3 people,
Yeah.
one of whom was at iBeam with me, and he came in and they did it for like super cheap.
Yeah.
Hopefully you did some Adafruit GPS hardware. It turns out it's not that GPS hardware that's expensive or the cellular stuff, that's actually really cheap. It's the structural organization to get that data in and out. Large government agencies.
Lots of meetings.
Chris Young has been designing 3D printed electronics to help him with his mobility. He has limited mobility, and he's using a mouth control joystick to control his wheelchair.
Yeah.
And so
and it didn't quite work that well for him.
It didn't
and so
reach.
So he redesigned it.
There was either too small or too big, and so
Yeah.
he actually 3D printed a piece that would adapt the joystick mount so it could reach his mouth. So because he didn't want to use his chin, he wanted to use his mouth to control the joystick. So that's really cool. It's like this is exactly what 3D printing is great for. Like everybody has different accessibility needs, and for him, he's like, I 3D printed this thing. It's like 30 cents worth of plastic, but there's nothing you can buy that does this. It's not something off the shelf because it's every person has unique needs. So great use of 3D printing. Aiden came back and did like a remix of a very, very old project. His first project they showed off at the show and tell, this time with a different, stiffer type of silicone for this soft robotics actuator. And he says it works really good, and he's trying different silicone types. This one's a little bit tougher to work with, but this mix is better for the soft robots he's doing. C. Scott just popped in to tell Noah and Pedro, by the way, if you're milling PCBs, use immersion tin plate. I was trying to think it was like electroplate, but tin plate. It's really easy to use, and it works great. And so after you other mill your copper PCB, you can use that to keep it from oxidizing, although oxidizing isn't a huge deal. If you've soldered it already. And then Lottie is working on an EagleCAD PCB for his combo breaker, and he's thinking of maybe even making a kit and selling it.
Lottie
so
Corp.
Lottie Incorporated, Lottie Zaibatsu.
Yeah. What's neat is if you start releasing your videos or schematics or going online and showing a video of something you made, people want to buy it.
Yeah, people contacted him and said, we want to buy a kit, just
so
like
now
they
he's doing
did for
pricing.
me.
Yeah. Okay.
You can call it Lottie Fruit.
All right.
All
All
right,
participants in the show and tell get an as seen on the show and tell sticker. Email support@adafruit.com and we'll send you an as seen on the show and tell sticker. To get on the show and tell, just go to google.com/plus Adafruit around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, and you'll see a link. The rooms are filling up pretty quick, and also folks are coming in. So make sure you mute your mic and also keep the projects to 1 or 2 minutes, and make sure it's a show and tell. We can't do tech support on the show and tells. They're show and tells. Maybe one day we'll
We
do
have forums that are really good for it. It's just really hard. Like
in the chat room, we can
yeah.
at the end of Ask an Engineer, we do
answer questions.
We answer questions.
That's good for short questions, but for really detailed stuff like, hey, I need the part. I need a suggestion for a part number. I don't know.
That's another show.
That might be a forum thing. That might be like, hey, go to the forums, post photos, schematics, whatever you got. Especially for like really detailed questions, we can answer them. It's just really hard to do live.
Okay.
I try, but it's hard.
Next up, Packet Mailbag.
What's Packet got for us
Here
today?
we go. This week, this is from Chris. I received my order today, way ahead when it was scheduled to be delivered. Thank you for getting the order together and out so quickly. Everything arrived as ordered and well packaged. I look forward to doing more business with you in the future. Many thanks, Chris.
That's a lot of exclamations. That's like 10 exclamation points.
Yep, there's no budget for those. You can use whatever.
You can use as many as you want.
It's free. Okay, help wanted. This is the Adafruit jobs board, adafruit.com/jobs, place where makers post their skills and cool companies and organizations find makers. This week on the jobs board, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, it's Edmo Camp Director. The Camp Edmo in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Berkeley, Silicon Valley. Adventure More, also known as Edmo, is a Bay Area-based 5013C nonprofit dedicated to inspiring curiosity, confidence, and kindness in children. We are looking for a variety of creative technology and maker instructors for our summer programs around the SF Bay Area. So if you're in the Bay Area and you want to spend 6 to 7 weeks inspiring the next generation of makers, hackers, artists, and engineers, this might be a job for you.
Yeah, and you can teach kid electronics. And this could be really a great way for you to share the joy that you have, the maker skills that you know, whether or not you're formally educated in electronics or mechanical engineering or whatever. I think they'll take both types. It's like whether you don't need to be they have a teaching certificate, and you don't have to be like a computer scientist engineer with a degree from Berkeley. You can probably just show up and be like, hey, I love playing with laser cutters. I want to share that joy with kids this summer.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, just to recap, we're almost done in the month of March. In March, we had posts every single day for Women's History Month. Here's the thing. Electronic sites normally don't cover all the achievements of women in technology and beyond, and we thought that was really important. So if you're ever looking for a bunch of stories about high-profile women doing technology, doing science, breaking down barriers, going through ceilings, going to space. This is a really neat series, and we didn't see anything else out there like it. And if you're in the technology world, this is important. There's a lot of people doing a lot of cool stuff, and often they don't get in the spotlight. And
next year you can just steal our posts and repost them. We don't care.
Yeah.
We're not going to charge you. We don't have a rate sheet.
Yeah, and so it's important to. We got a popular blog, and we put art and we put art in science, and so this is a resource that we wanted to get out there. And thank you everyone who sent in all the cool posts, celebrating some cool women out there, and also thanks to our team who worked on this every single day. Okay, next up, some good news for all the Circuit Playground fans out there. We have another Circuit Playground. What's Circuit Playground, Lady Ada? Circuit
Playground is a whole bunch of things, but this is our puppet show. It's our live action puppet show. We've done about 8 episodes so far. It takes a very long time to do them, so thank you everybody for your patience. Asking us when the next one is going to come out will not make them come out any faster. But when we do finish them, we like to celebrate and show it off and check this one out. This
H is for Hertz.
So, the internet comes in through here, and then moves wirelessly to the laptop. But if it's not using wires, what does it use?
Electromagnetic energy.
Oh, hello. Who are you?
My name is Heinrich Hertz.
Oh, I know about Hertz. Hertz is how many times something happens per second.
Yes, Hertz is a unit of measure that was named after me. But my true passion is inquiring into the nature of electromagnetic energy.
And that's what the internet uses to get to my laptop?
Ja, natürlich. Wi-Fi sends data over radio waves, which are in fact electromagnetic energy.
Radio waves? Like my little FM radio?
Yes, but electromagnetic waves aren't just used to transmit sound. They do so many other things, you know. They're all around us every day.
Imagine if we could see all of them.
Well, it might look something like this.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
Very. They really are everywhere.
Yeah, and waves with different frequencies are used for different things.
What kind of different things?
Well, you see, waves of electromagnetic energy that change somewhat slowly are known as radio waves. We use radio waves to send sound and data without wires. Waves that change at a faster rate are called infrared. We use these to control our televisions and so many other different things. And waves that move faster than infrared are known as visible light.
What?
Yeah, it's true. The light we see with our eyes is made of electromagnetic energy.
So we see electromagnetic energy all the time. Very cool.
Yeah, electromagnetic energy at any frequency is an astonishing thing.
Wow. So when something is wireless, it uses electromagnetic energy instead of wires. I guess that answers my question. Thanks for your help, Mr. Hertz. Mr. Hertz. Where'd he go?
And that's Circuit Playground. So we're working on future episodes.
Subscribe. You will be notified immediately when they're done.
Subscribe and hit like on that video that's on there. And just a reminder, because these are all inside of iTunes now, you can subscribe to the Adafruit podcast, and it'll download the videos automatically, and you can subscribe to individual ones. So we have a Raspberry Pi one, the general one that's all of the videos, Ask an Engineer, 3D printing, new products, show and tell, Collins Lab, Circuit Playground, 3D Hangouts.
Get your podcatcher.
It is, yeah, and we also updated the Apple TV app if you have Apple TV. So you could potentially only watch Adafruit shows. There's thousands of hours.
There's so much you can watch.
With now the longest running live electronics show in the world.
Yeah.
You can say that.
It's by far.
No one wants to hear it. No one wants to hear it. No one wants to hear that this is the longest running.
Everything we do is the longest running since it's the only one.
No one wants to hear that. Okay, so the dronies. This is our video contest that we're doing. So if you have cool footage shot with a drone, or if you know a cool drone video, enter it in. It's adafruit.com/dronies. Okay, next up. I got a lot of stuff tonight. Yeah, Adafruit IO. This is our Internet of Things service for makers. You got all sorts of dashboards and dials and maps and things, and we interrupt this program to give you an IO update.
Beep, 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 beep.
So we have a weekly post now. It's in our IoT Tuesdays. We're almost up to 10,000 users. You can look at the number of inserts per second with MQTT, and you can take a look at all the different things that we add each week. This post was made by Todd. We're up to version 2 of the REST API, and you'll be able to do more stuff, more feeds, more everything.
A lot of the work lately has been performance, moving to EC2, splitting it up so we can scale a bit easier. Like basically, we kind of got things running and it was really good, and then it became very popular, and so we wanted to spend a lot of time on getting it to be scalable and sustainable before we add more feature updates.
So anyways, now you have a good idea of what we're working on with Adafruit IO. You can go to the Adafruit IO site, and you can also look at our IoT Tuesday posts. Also in the news, this is kind of neat. There was this is Nimbus, our cloud entity.
I'm Nimbus, the friendly cloud entity.
There was a neat chart, and it was the State of Internet of Things 2016. And you look at this giant chart with all these companies, and I was like, oh, I wonder, because we have an IoT platform and we're pretty popular, but sometimes these charts, they only put like Apple and Nest and stuff like that. And what was neat is they did have places like the Home Depot and Target and Best Buy and Amazon, and this is where people buy this stuff.
Dragon Innovations in there.
But way off to the side, and this was authored by Matt Turk, you see Arduino, Raspberry Pi, Octopart, Adafruit, yay!
Okay,
so
we're under kits.
We're in the
hardware.
So we're in the Internet of Things. And with that being said, we're starting to do some videos about IoT, and one of them is an IoT door detector. And here it is.
It's a little video of a tutorial.
Okay. And then this news just came in right before we started the show. Like I said, it's a big news day.
Okay.
This is neat. The opening pitch for the Royals, someone posted this on Twitter, inside of the baseball.
That looks familiar.
Is a huzzah from Adafruit.
That's cool.
So it's called a smart ball.
And I bet that's a B&O sensor, by the way, behind it.
Yeah.
Or one of our triple axis accelerometers.
Yeah, this is neat. It's inside of a baseball, and they'll be able to know what the speed is using the Adafruit huzzah. So I thought that was cool. So anyways,
cool.
The Internet of Baseball things is
awesome.
next. Okay, time travel. Look back in the world of hackers, makers, artists, and engineers. So you know what we were doing just a few years ago?
Oh boy.
We were celebrating an Arduino Day.
Oh yay,
And
2014.
yeah, Massimo was here 2 years ago, and we did a live show, and we talked about Arduino, and Massimo's the CEO of Arduino, one of the founders of Arduino. And Arduino Day started back in 2011, and this weekend we're going to be doing a bunch of Arduino Day
Of course,
stuff.
even more.
Yeah, and more so because Adafruit is a US manufacturer for Arduino.
Yay!
Yeah, and if you see Arduino.cc boards in the US, those are from us.
Oh,
and those,
say, can you
yeah,
see
those help us pay the bills.
Arduino.
So we'll be doing Arduino Day on Saturday, and expect
We might
to
be
see
doing
some videos.
some streams,
Maybe something Friday
some
night.
videos.
Yeah,
and
so we got a lot of stuff going on. We'll be celebrating Arduino Day, and I have my museum of Arduinos of the past, and we'll show those off
Yes.
with maybe Colin on
we
Saturday.
have even a wallet.
Yeah, we have an Arduino. It's when they were doing some promotional and marketing stuff, and I have something really rare. It's when all the founders were together. This is kind of like the Beatles, you know. There's been some things going on with Arduino. I have a signed picture of Arduino with all the
With
signatures.
all of the
Yeah.
members, yeah.
Yeah, anyways.
You're right, that was the one time.
Yeah, it was one time.
That was pretty much it.
Okay, Adafruit Learning System. We're up to 959 tutorials. Late Ada. There's a few new ones, and then the latest one. I'll go to that. But what's the latest?
Well, I'll just go through the ones. Okay, so we had a Twinkling NeoPixel Parasol. That's by Erin St. Blaine. She just did an awesome video of this like beautiful parasol, and it changes color effects, and she shows how to program in different colorways, I guess. We also have a tutorial that went live for the Adafruit Wicked Feather Wi-Fi. So that's a new Wicked board that came out last week. It's by K-Town. He did an amazing job. It's a very complicated board, has a lot of capabilities. We'll be updating it, of course, as more. It's still a developer edition. There's a lot more to do, but pretty much all the basics are there. And then the rest are all older ones.
Yeah, and then this one you just released right before we got
Yeah, this is
on air.
this is a tutorial for the mini relay feathering. It's a new product. I just did a tutorial like kind of talking about the details and linking to data sheets and having schematics and stuff.
Yeah, and we'll go over that in just a few minutes of how it all works. Okay, all right.
Lovely.
There's more. Like I said, we got a lot of videos this week. 3D printing, starting a new series. So Noah and Pedro have an other mill, and that means videos about the other mill. So this was Milling Monday, and this is
Monday. Okay.
Yeah, it's Milling Monday.
3-day Thursday.
And
Monday. Okay.
and here we go.
Hey guys, Noah here for Adafruit, and today we're going to take a look at the Other Mill from the Other Machine Company. The Other Mill is a desktop 3D CNC machine that lets you mill all sorts of materials such as metal, wood, and plastics, and it does it with some really high precision and some pretty fine details. So we picked one up specifically so we could custom mill some prototypes of a gamepad PCB for our upcoming Pi Girl Zero project. And if you've ever designed a PCB before, you probably already know how awesome it is to be able to prototype your stuff before having to send them off to a fab lab and having to wait weeks to get them back. But the Other Mill isn't just for making custom PCBs. It can also do medium-scale projects like, say you want to do some jewelry, some project enclosures, plates, signs, and probably a whole lot of other things that I just haven't thought of yet. We're thinking about using it for making aluminum propellers for our 2016 Droney trophies, and probably some bezels and some faceplates for an upcoming Star Trek communicator project. Spock? Spock? Okay, so now let's take a look at the milling process. The Other Mill makes it pretty easy to operate with their software, Other Planner, and it takes the nuances of G-code and complicated settings and makes it really easy to operate. There's two main things to set up, and that's drill bits and materials. These have built-in presets that make it pretty easy to set up, and it makes the process simple. The Other Mill comes with 2 drill bits and a Hello World kit, which includes a couple of sheets of FR1 boards. There's also an easy-to-follow guide that helped me sort of get the workflow down and understand the machine's behaviors. Installing drill bits is pretty easy and straightforward, and I really like how the enclosure has these built-in magnets on top of the machine so you can put away your tools. And this helps you so you don't lose them since you tend to switch out bits frequently. There's procedures built into the tool change setup that prevents you from installing it incorrectly, and it sort of guides you through the whole thing. So the axis sees home and auto locates the tool so that it always knows where it is so it doesn't crash into the spoiler plate. And bonus, no bed leveling required. So the folks over at the Other Machine Company released a little fan bit that sort of blows dust away while it's cutting your part, and it's designed to be milled on the Other Mill. Coincidentally, we went ahead and made one for 3D printing, which is also equally as functional. To load materials, there's a load option that positions the bed in the right spot, and material presets are pre-configured to the stuff that the company sells in their shop. You can of course also set custom stuff, and to secure the actual material, you just use double stick tape to get it on the bed, and you can square it up to the lower left corner. Loading designs is done by choosing from a few different file formats. You have SVGs for graphics, logos, and text, EagleCAD board files for PCBs, and .NC for G-code that's produced from stuff like Fusion 360. So no STLs or objects here, but you can insert multiple files and even mix them up if you'd like. Each file can be repositioned almost anywhere on the material, and you can place things on top of each other, which is pretty cool. Each object can have multiple drill bits or tools assigned to them, and other planner will automatically figure out the tool path optimized for a specific drill bit. Detailed things deserve a thinner bit, and large areas will call for a thicker tool. Now, depending what file format you choose, other planner can let you set the depth for etching. SVGs can have a custom depth, but things like board files and G-code are going to need to be set in their appropriate apps. To start the cut, you can either choose to cut individual files or everything that's visible on the material. And this is handy because sometimes you just want to make one piece or just print everything that's on the material. Okay, so once everything is ready and set to cut, the machine quickly gets to work. How long it takes depends entirely on the object, but I do find that it's a little bit faster than 3D printing because you're doing mostly cuts and etches. And the more you have to cut and etch, obviously that increases the time. But that's one thing that I think other mill is sort of missing, an estimated time and total time that it takes to cut a job. It's sort of up to you to sort of time that if you need to know. Now, while it's cutting, it can be obviously pretty loud, louder than the 3D printer, but it's not terribly loud, and it's pretty fun to watch. It can be quite messy and dusty. Even though all the sides are enclosed with these acrylic panels, dust can build up and sort of seep through some of these openings. I found that a couple pieces of packaging tape will keep the dust inside, and vacuuming is a must. Try to get one with a small attachment for getting into those nooks and crannies. After cutting is done, you'll need to use a spatula to remove your part from the bed, and it's a lot like a 3D print. You do have to be careful not to damage your part. The part can be potentially chipped or bent, so a little finesse goes a long way. If burrs are visible in the cut, a piece of Scotch-Brite or even a bushing wheel for a Dremel tool will help you remove these. And that's pretty much the whole process in a nutshell. So is this better than 3D printing? Well, that sort of depends on the project. I do think the other mill complements 3D printing in many ways. It can make some really fine quality elements for adding to your 3D printed projects, and it can make them look more polished and even more functional. But that's it for this one, folks. Thank you guys for watching, and be sure to subscribe for daily videos from Adafruit. I'll see you guys in the next one, but remember to keep on making, milling, and printing, and all that good stuff. Bye, guys.
And don't forget, tomorrow is 3D Thursday, so that means Hangouts and more. And we have two more. We have 2 time-lapse videos.
Okay.
I want to show. These are super short, but they're a lot of fun. And the time-lapse videos, people, I think it's like meditation.
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
Because like
to
3D
watch.
printing takes a really long time, but these.
It's fun to watch. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's like you built the whole thing, or you milled it out in like a minute.
Yeah. So here's the 8 attack, and then I'm going to play a printout. know.
Great fun.
After you're done printing out the thing, you might as well just throw it to your brother.
I guess it's like, hey.
Hey, I'm just gonna kick this thing.
When you're in the exclusion zone, you can toss your dodecahedron.
Yeah. All right. So before we
24-hour print.
Yeah, that's why it's a.
That's
another,
why it's
we have another show where it's live. It just takes a day. So before you get a new product, codes relay, 10% off all the way up to 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. Lady Ada, it's that time.
Oh, I'm ready. It's time for new.
New. Okay.
New. I know there's a little song.
Yeah, there is. But the first round of products, I just put in like a slideshow thing because I didn't think it made sense to do anything more. So just going to flip through this. What is this?
Okay, so we basically, we've had like 3 different colors of solid core wire. And after a while, I was just like, I actually got tired of not having wire that I wanted to have when I was wired, because like I bought some a long time ago, but I finally went through it. And so I was like, we should really stock all the different colors. So now we have 22 American wire gauge, which is kind of the standard wire gauge for solid core for breadboarding, works really well for breadboarding, as well as stranded core in case you want to make wire harnesses that are not as fancy as silicone wire, but you still want more flexibility than solid core. And we have them all 10 colors, black, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, gray, and white. So all 10 colors. These are the standard electronics colors. Stranded and solid core. So maybe you want to show these on the overhead real fast?
Yeah, let's go to the overhead.
I'll just show 2 colors. And they come in nice little spools, and they're pretty intense spools. I'm kind of surprised, but this is what the manufacturer suggests. And this is solid core, so yeah, it works really great with breadboarding, and it holds its shape, and it's just nice and fancy, and this is the violet. And then stranded core, so it's got, looks like about 16 strands of wire, and it's more flexible, and it holds its shape a teeny bit, but not really. Like it's really meant for flexible wiring needs. And of course we have the silicone wire as well. The silicone wire is a lot more flexible, but it's a lot more expensive as well. So, depending on what your needs are, you may want one or the other.
Okay, and then tonight, the stars of the show besides you is the following. We've got an exciting new feather.
Yay, 2 exciting new feathers.
Yeah, feathers.
It's twinsy feather time, brother and sister, or maybe 2 sisters. We have the non-latching relay feather wing, and then the latching relay feather wing. And these are 2 mini relays. They're not going to turn on and off your fridge. They're for 60 watts or less of power. And check out the data sheet for the derating and what current requirements you have. But for a lot of stuff, like maybe you want to switch solenoids that use AC power, or you're controlling like a doorbell ringer, or like a small motor, or a small appliance. Actually, a lot of stuff is pretty low power these days. If you want to turn on and off your DVR or your Wi-Fi router, that will probably be under 60 watts. So that's a perfectly fine use of this relay wing. And
there's 2, but there's latching
and there's non-latching.
Non-latching. Can you spot the difference? Sort of?
Well, they're a little bit different. I'll explain the difference because I personally really like latching relays, but they're a little bit more complicated to use. So a non-latching relay is what most people think of when they think of a relay, and that's this one. So you have a single pin, the signal pin, and it's connected through a transistor and a diode, so you don't have to worry about like level, like can you drive enough current from a pin. You can use any 0 to 3 volt logic level. And when the relay is normally open, the NO pin is normally open, and then the NC pin is normally closed to the common. And then when the signal pin is brought high, the red LED turns on, and the normally open closes, and the normally closed opens. So the switch flips from the other one to the other. And when the signal is released, it goes back.
Okay.
So it's basically you have to keep the pin high to keep the relay contacts closed. So I actually have a demo of that here.
You're going to do a live demo.
I'm going to do a live demo.
Right.
So I've got this lamp, which I will hold up.
Yeah.
So this is my lamp.
Lamp.
Maybe I'll just have it over here.
Okay. Yeah, that's where you can tell. Yeah. Let's
that way you can
this
tell.
Thing. All right.
And then over here, I've got my ESP Feather, so I've got a Wi-Fi Feather, and I have it. I just have it plugged into USB just so I know it would run for the entirety of the show. And then what I did is I took a extension cord, one of these like low-cost extension cords, and I cut it in half and spliced it into the common and the normally open. So it's connected to normally open and common. So that means by default the lamp is off. And then I don't want the reflection. I have my tablet here. You can use a phone or a computer or anything. This is just a demo. And this is connected to Adafruit IO, so I'm logged into my IO account. And I have an on-off button, and right now it's off. And when I hit the button,
Whoa.
it turns on. And as you can see here, you see that red LED. That means the relay is activated. And then, of course, the lamp is on. And then if I hit off,
That's pretty fast.
yeah, MQTT is really fast. I mean, that's like what's so good about MQTT. So MQTT stands for man, quick time, Tom. I don't know. It's very fast. So you can turn it on and off. And as the relay turns on, you see the red LED. Sorry, flicks. The hardest part is actually just pressing the capacitive touchscreen. It turns the relay on and off. And so if I turn this on, for example, and then I'll just unplug the relay, it will automatically turn off.
That's smart.
Because by default it's off.
Yeah.
So that's why you would want a normal relay.
Okay.
And then the other type is the latching relay, and I actually didn't set up a demo for
And
it.
can these stack because they're feathers?
You-
How would this interact with another feather, for instance?
Well, yeah, you could, and this is a little tall. I actually have to measure because I think you can stack on top of it, but you can't have too much height if you use the stacking feather wings, or you can go side by side with the doubler, and you can have 2 relays or 2 wings that way. Yeah, it's a side by side style.
Over, under, through the
whatever.
side, whatever, just whatever feather.
But yeah, you can use this with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. I'm just using it with Wi-Fi, but you can use it with whatever, Bluetooth, feather wing, art, radio, whatever. These people like Wi-Fi. You don't even have to have it connected to the internet, just happen to like it.
Okay.
But then we have the latching relay. So I just showed you the non-latching. It's a standard relay. You pull the pin high, the relay closes, and then when you release the signal, it opens. So can you go to the latching?
Latching is this one.
Yeah. So the latching, can you go to the one that's straight on?
You want to straight on?
Yeah, the next photo. Okay, so the latching relay feather wing, you see it has 2 pins, set and unset. So instead of having a single pin, it actually has 2 pins. And the reason it has 2 pins is unlike the, you want to put me in the relay?
I'm going to put you in the relay.
Okay.
Whoops.
Okay, sweet. So unlike the normal relay feather wing where you have to have the, hi, I'm
Word
inside.
relay.
Click, clack, click, clack. Instead of having the having the pin high and the relay closes, and then when it's released, it's open, because every time you have the relay coil activated, it's drawing 50 milliamps. That coil takes a lot of current to keep on. The latching relay, what you do is you just pulse the pin high for 10 milliseconds. So you turn set high for 10 milliseconds and you can drop it low, and then it will click on, and there's a little plastic piece that latches it in place. So whatever you set it to, it'll stay that way even if power is lost, even if you don't have the coil activated, so you can set and unset. And that's good when you are running on battery power, so you want to have a lot less current draw, because you don't want to have to hold the relay open. And if you don't care, if you want it so when power is lost, it can stay in the last state. Like for safety, you might want like a relay feather wing connected to a lamp or a heater. You might want it if the power's lost or it loses connection with Wi-Fi, it'll automatically turn off. That's something that's a little easier to do with a normal relay than with a latching relay. But it depends on what you want to do. And again, with the latching relay, you need 2 pins, one for setting and one for unsetting. You have to alternate them to turn it on and off.
Okay. And can you, let's go to the overhead. Can you go over what, because a couple questions came up. Can you go, what is this setup right here?
Okay,
like,
sure.
What's underneath?
Watch out, be careful. Don't.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't feel pain like others.
Yeah.
So what is this setup here?
Sure. So underneath here, I will carefully
Yeah, you.
remove this. So I've got a ESP8266
So what type of feather?
feather.
Is that?
So it's a Wi-Fi feather.
Is it a Huzzah? What is the
Yeah,
name
it's
of it?
Feather Huzzah.
It's a Feather Huzzah. Okay.
It's Feather Huzzah ESP8266. And I just plugged it in, so it'll connect to the internet right now.
Okay.
And so this is connected to Adafruit I/O over Wi-Fi. It's connected to the Wi-Fi network. You can use this with the Phona or the Bluetooth. Wi-Fi is the easiest one for me to use. And then, like any other feather wings, this just plugs in on top.
Okay.
And the last setting we had was on, so it's by default. When we connect to Adafruit I/O, it'll get
know what it
that
was.
previous setting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the retained value. But then I can connect to Adafruit I/O via my tablet. So when I press this button on the website, I'm connected to Adafruit I/O website. When I connect this, it's sending the signal to Adafruit I/O, and then this connects to Adafruit I/O, and then the message gets exchanged. So it does it pretty fast. So it looks like it's instantaneous, but it's actually relaying a Wi-Fi message back and forth.
Yeah.
But you can
Cool.
use cellular, Bluetooth, radio, whatever you want, Zigbee. We're going to have all sorts of different Wi-Fi, wireless feather capabilities, some of which we might be talking about soon, as it's not out yet. But this relay is just use one pin and you can use it to control power however you like,
Yeah. Okay.
whether over the internet or if you want some other system. It's up to you, however you want to do it.
All right. And with that, those new products. Okay. So before we get to It's Not Out Yet, Don't Ask, and some questions, don't forget the code is relay. 10% off all the way up to 11:59
Okay.
p.m. Eastern Time tonight. Okay, it's everyone's favorite segment. It's Not Out Yet, Don't Ask. Lady Ada, what are you going to show this week?
Well, I thought I would show off that I actually finished up the tester for my RFM breakouts, and so this is kind of neat. So this is, I'm going to disconnect this. Yeah. So I've got to clear off all the space. So I've got the feather. So this is going to be both LoRa and non-LoRa, like mesh networking type, RFM 69 and RFM 95. These are two types of different radios, so we're going to have some feathers that come with these. And so this is a little tester I made earlier today. So
Yeah, we got to do some testing not too long ago, and we walked really far.
yeah, we walked all
did
around
this.
New York. Whoa, too zoomy. Okay, so yeah, this one's listening. And then what I can do is, hold on, I just need a power plug for this. So then this is the tester. So I designed this tester on another mill, and this is just listening at 900 megahertz, and then this is the breakout version of the radio that will also have.
Zoom in physically here.
Yeah, so we'll have both types, both feather type and the breakout
so it's
type.
listening, yeah, see that?
And then, so I guess still have to finish the jigging for this, but then it's kind of cute. This even makes a little antenna. So like this connects to the antenna, so that tests the antenna. So when you connect,
I
so
see
hit
on
reset,
the screen, yeah.
it says hello
That's cool.
world, and then this LED lights up. So
that's
it does a
neat.
test of the radio. This is out of focus a little bit. Oops, hold on, sorry. I guess that's as focused as it's gonna get. But yeah, so I can use this to test all of the capabilities of the radio, and
That's cool.
then it tests also like the signal strength and stuff. So got that working, so I'll be able to get these. This is like almost a year in the making. It's just taken me so
Yeah.
long. But we'll have breakouts and then also feathers, and we'll have LoRa radios as well. So it's going to be like 12 different like versions altogether, with all the frequencies and the 32U4 and the M0. It's going to be insane.
Okay. All right. And
That's not out yet. Don't ask.
All right. Zoom.
But then we'll be able to do like Wi-Fi LoRa and Bluetooth LoRa and RFM
Okay.
mesh, Zigbee.
All right. We're going to speed run questions. There's some that are already lined up. I'm
Okay,
going to
great.
start rattling these
I'm ready.
off. Okay. So one of the questions was about the relay.
Mm-hmm.
So when the power is removed from the non-latching relay, does the contact open or close?
It will go back to the default where NO is normally open and NC is normally closed, because it's a single pole single throw, whatever. I never remember which one is which, but basically
Okay.
one switch and it has 2 contacts, and it'll just flick between the 2.
Okay, is there equivalent of the ultimate GPS hat for the Raspberry Pi 3?
No, because you know what? Like a lot of stuff changed, so it may not ever work because they really messed with the UART. We have to figure out whether we can. You might have to do some stuff. It might be able to work, but it's not going to work by default. You have to do some stuff with the device tree overlay. But we're going to get the Pi TFT stuff fixed first, and then we're going to go back to the ultimate GPS.
Okay. Is there a Verizon compatible 3G module?
Not yet.
Yeah, not that I know of. Let's see. Is there a Adafruit IO API?
Yeah, there's a REST API that you can use to query and receive data. You can use anything you like.
Okay. For Amazon AWS AMI, which one did we use? What Amazon AWS AMI
I don't know what
did we use?
AMI is, but if you're talking about the EC2 for Adafruit IO, I actually don't know the details of that. That's a good question.
I think it's on the Adafruit IO blog.
Check the blog. I think they posted about it.
Yeah.
I only use like S3. I've never really used EC2.
Okay. And then let's see. Would it be possible to take an old school desk phone and interface a dial pad ringer microphone with a Feather phono?
Absolutely. Check out the video that I did a couple days ago where we showed how to make a communicator. And basically I showed how to make calls, receive calls, change the ringtone, and you would just then use the pads to, you'd have to figure out how to talk to the keypads, but once you've done that, the rest is quite easy. And then you can either replace the headset or just bring out the electric microphone and speaker, and basically, yeah, you'd probably end up gutting most of the phone and using it just as like a cover, but it would work. I don't see why not.
Okay, relay specs talk about resistive loads and derating for inductive loads, but I believe switching power supplies are inductive loads. What is the power factor for a modern 5-volt power supply?
Well, if you're using a 5-volt power supply, you probably don't want to use a relay. Like if you have a switching power supply, you would probably you would switch on the low side, right? You would switch on the 5-volt side rather than on the 120-volt side. And that way you just get whatever load you are, because depending on the maker, the power factor may vary. I don't know if it would be considered a completely inductive load. Usually when people talk about inductive loads, they really mean like it is a coil of wire. It is strictly a motor, like a fan, or a motor that would be, or like a solenoid that's considered a coil, or like an electromagnet. Those are like purely inductive loads. For something like a switching power supply, they do tend to be resistive-ish in that they spike. They usually, one of the few times that I've looked at the current draw for something that is switching, like using the kilowatt, that when we did the tweetawatt, and I was looking at the waveforms, they tend to spike at the peak of the voltage. So when the voltage is at the peak, that's when it spikes, and it just takes a little bit of current. So that would be like it's more resistive because the peak current is coming at the peak voltage rather than later on in the cycle, the 60 hertz cycle. But what the power factor correction is, that's going to vary by manufacturer. What you might have to do is actually build something where you get to actually see the current draw.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. That's why, honestly, I'd say switch on the low side.
Okay. All right, will there be a Philips Hue compatible Zigbee Feather? You could probably, so we have the Philips Hue stuff. You could probably use Adafruit IO and the glue that puts all the stuff together instead of a hardware thing.
Yeah, we might have a, I mean, we are thinking about how to do Zigbee. But like as of having it compatible with Philips Hue, that's like a year off. I mean, like that's a lot of work. You have to get the protocol and make sure that you have the exact same stack, the interfaces.
You could glue it together now with
but do it on the Wi-Fi side.
The bridges stuff that we have.
Yeah, bridge it on the Wi-Fi side.
Okay.
Switch on the low side, bridge on the Wi-Fi. Like take care of APIs that have already done.
Could the Feather relays be a substitute for the power switch tail for low amp applications?
For very low amp applications, yes.
Okay.
But it is a little bit more exposed. It's not as safe as a power switch tail, which is completely enclosed. This is a little bit of a trade-off.
Can the latching feathers handle mains power?
The relays are actually the same. It's basically the same relay inside, and both are 60 watt. Check the datasheet for the exact specs because there's a derating curve. It's not 2 amps at 120 volts. It's 2 amps at like 30 volts, and then it's 60 watts. So as you get at higher voltages, and depending on AC and DC, it's slightly different max current requirements. So check those out. They can handle up to 250 volts AC, but not at 2 amps. So it's like you have to look at the curve. Because I don't remember the exact details. And there's like 2 curves, one for DC, one for AC.
Okay.
Intense.
Next, would it be possible to use the Raspberry Pi 3 Bluetooth to broadcast a file or download without having to pair devices with the Pi?
You're always going to have to pair.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no, unless you want to send it in the advertising packet, which would be insane.
Okay.
If it's a very, 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 very small file, but nah, you pretty much want to pair.
Okay.
Then use a proper like SPP or something.
Let's see. Is there any way to turn off the Arduino IDE compiling when uploading a program?
No, I think it's happening in a thread in the background.
Okay. Why is calculus so hard?
I think it actually depends on the way it's taught, because calculus as a concept is actually not that difficult. You learn how to calculate the area of a square in grade school, right? So calculating the area under a curve is not that much more complicated, but I think it's the way it's taught. Like they end up teaching you limits, which are very, very interesting, but are not really that necessary for understanding the concepts behind calculus. If you want to derive calculus, you kind of need to know limits, but I think that's where people get hung up. They end up like spending like a semester or half a year or a quarter year on limits, and then their brains are so fried that they're like, well, okay, now I know this thing, but then you have to like start deriving from like first principles how to calculate the area under every curve. I think you should teach it as like small slices and approximations.
Okay.
And you can it's like Zeno's paradox. You get there. You get there.
Good answer.
Like you know Zeno's paradox, so that you don't need to know limits because you're like, well, the fly gets there, right? So you get there.
Okay. And then this will be the last question. Someone wanted to know, will we ever have an Adafruit storefront? Technically, we kind of do. Inside Micro Center, they stock all the Adafruit stuff. We decided instead of getting rent and a storefront, and most of the time a store would be empty, and stocking it would be really
well. We have 3,000 PIDs. So
yeah, we have 3,000
that.
products. So what we did
tough.
is we worked with Micro Center, and they stock the most popular Adafruit products. So go to your local Micro Center. There's usually one pretty close to folks, and we figured out a great way to get them all the top sellers from Adafruit, and do check them out.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, they're basically, and they're like a storefront for us.
Yeah. We'll do one more. How thick is the insulation on the new wire that we got?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's in the
Good.
specs.
Good.
It's it's the standard thickness. It looks normal to me.
Yeah. I do like the. I want to do a project with the leftover little.
The spools.
The spools are really nice.
Yeah,
like,
the spools are.
Why are these so nice?
I don't know why. I actually said
They're
like,
a little too high quality.
They're a little too nice. And I said, hey guys, can you get me like a lower? But they're like, no, actually they end up cracking or.
They're really This is really good.
And if we end up freighting these, I guess you want them to be solid. The plastic doesn't. The plastic isn't what costs a lot. It's the wire. Like copper wire is expensive.
Okay, let's do a trivia question.
Go for it.
What are the rules for trivia, Lady Ada?
Rules are if you've entered and won something before on this show, you can't win again. Only one winner per my lifetime. So if you have won something, please go make yourself a sandwich and don't give hints to people. We want everyone to have a chance to win using their own intelligence. Mm-hmm. The prize tonight will be a relay feather wing. How about one of each? We'll give them one of each in case.
Wow, you're feeling really generous.
You get only like $8 each. So you get one relay feather wing each. You don't have to use them with a feather, by the way. You can use them with any project. So handy little relays are very cute.
Okay.
Be safe.
Here is the question. Are you ready? What is the month and the day of Arduino Day this year? The month and the day of Arduino Day.
Is Arduino Day?
When is Arduino Day this year?
Type it in the chats.
The answer is not 42. Good guess to everyone who always says 42 though. One day maybe, but let's see. Looking in chat rooms. It is not a date in the past. It is coming up.
When is Arduino Day?
When is Arduino Day?
Somebody said we could use a spool for like a little 3D printing, mini micro 3D printer.
All right. The person who got it first this week is David Pyatt. Congratulations.
David Pyatt, congratulations.
Congratulations.
You know your Arduino
David,
days.
it was close between like 50 people here. So you won.
Yay, you won, David Pyatt.
David, email support@adafruit.com and let them know you won one of each of the 2 new products. And the numbers on that are product ID 2895 and product ID 2923 if you want to help them out.
If you
But
tell them the
doesn't
product
matter
IDs,
either way.
it makes it a lot easier. Because like, they can look it
Yeah.
up, but I'll just be like, hey, thanks. So just tell them one of
Yeah.
each. Enjoy, switch something up.
Okay.
Control, mains power.
Before we go, codes relay. If you didn't win, you can still win on checkout by using the code relay. 10% off all the way up to 11:59. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you all of the Adafruit team members that help out with the show every single week. Thank you all of the viewers and more. You're what makes this happen. If you want to support a cool open source hardware company, us, please pick up a kit, some electronics. We don't have any loans. We don't have any venture capital. It's a lady-owned engineering company, and we're here because y'all keep buying stuff. So thanks.
Do you want these Laura feathers?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they're being held hostage. I don't know, maybe next week we'll see what we get out.
Yeah, so that's what supports all of the people here and this show that we've been doing. It's gonna
Can't
be
eat PCBs.
in August. Ask an Engineer is going to be 7 years old.
Oh my goodness.
7 years of live, online electronic videos. It's crazy.
Oh.
I can't believe I talked you into this. This was totally just supposed to be a weird art project.
Trust your technolust.
Yeah. So we'll see everybody next week. Thanks so much. We'll be on Desk of Lady Ada. Tomorrow's 3D Hangouts. We've got Arduino Day coming up. There's lots of stuff going
Yeah,
on.
I've been a little under the weather, but maybe we'll get back into the
Yeah.
Desk Lady
Hit
Ada's.
thumbs up, subscribe.
We did like one a
on the
day
show.
for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going
That was
on.
intense.
Okay. All right. See everybody. Here is your moment. Oh, sorry, here's a cat.
Oh,
And
yeah.
here is your moment of Zener.
You can see him live on Desk of Lady Ada, so
Meow.
tune in.
Yeah.
Live cat.
All right. Later, folks.